aside from the literal chaos going on over at DC,
Everywhere
you actually
in the superhero universe.
you actually put me on to some of the MCU things that are going on, which I did not have any idea
It's hard to
about.
find it if you're looking in the trades and the magazines about it, because they're painting their positive light all over it. But I don't see how you could paint it as anything other than the same chaos that's happening over at DC.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, Dinner for Nerds was actually right about the whole Henry Cavill situation.
we don't know if he's actually right about.
Apparently they had a
Cavill.
conversation, and so it does look like Henry Cavill is probably on his way out.
No, he's done. He's done. Like Cavill came out and said that they're moving in another direction, and Gunn has already come out and said where he's taking Superman. So he's working on a Superman movie for an older Kal-El, or excuse me, a younger Kal-El. I don't know if we're talking like Superboy young, or we're just talking like first couple years like Matt Reeves' Batman. Which honestly, if we're that's where we're headed. Robert Pattinson being the new universe Batman as opposed to Batfleck, because Batfleck is also out. But yeah, if we're going that way, younger iterations to match Matt Reeves' Batman, then I mean that kind of makes sense. Kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
I know that you Superman fans are upset that you lost Henry Cavill, and that was your favorite Superman, and you were so excited for Man of Steel 2, and it really just breaks your heart that the studio won't listen to you and do with the character what you want them to do. And to that, I can only say is ha ha ha. Ah! Fam, we've been sitting over here for 2 years saying the same shit about T'Challa y'all been saying about Superman just now. Now, what we didn't do is come out and say, "Oh, the new head of the studio needs to be fired. How dare he fire Henry Cavill as Superman? How dare he? He needs to be fired. Remove him at once." Didn't get anywhere near that. It took y'all 1 day, fam. 1 day to reach critical levels of toxicity. Absolute critical mass. 1 day.
And they know that Superman is at least coming back.
It's been
that character is coming back.
You're getting Kal-El Superman back. It would just be another actor playing him. They're not killing him off. It's not going to be Jonathan Kent that carries on the mantle from now on, alongside of I can't even think of his cousin's name, Supergirl. No, they're just giving you a new Superman, which is all we've ever asked for. And for 2 years, I'm fighting back general audience superhero fans, i.e. Superman fans, Batman fans, Spider-Man fans, right? Well, it's not the same. It's not the same, man. It's a different character. And, T'Challa's actually a mantle. Like, the type of mantle that has different characters in it every so often. So, it's kind of different. It's not exactly like Superman. Ha! Ha! Ha!
What's even crazier about that? Not only are they getting this Superman, they're also getting a black Superman.
Fam. It's like they're losing and winning at the same time. They're failing upward. But I think it's so funny that they're doing a whole bunch of stuff with the character that you guys don't like, and you just got to sit back and deal with it, because what we could have done is band together as comic book fans and realize the common thread in all of our arguments, and had a beautiful thing, a meeting of minds between people who probably have different backgrounds and political views, but we can meet together in this whole comic book things. But no, y'all made it what y'all make everything, even our sports nowadays, a clear black and white, and you're complaining, and it's not the same, and you still have to have your air of superiority. So be superior with your new Superman.
And if I'm not mistaken, there's a Ta-Nehisi Coates Black Superman, and then there's a Michael B. Jordan Black Superman series that are separate.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about Michael B. Jordan still having a Superman series. I know one of these Superman whatevers better be Icon. I know we better not have all these black creators in here. Michael B. Jordan, now you are considered a black creator because you are directing projects, not just an actor. I guess that's still a form of creation. But in any case, You're creating the projects now. So now I'm putting you right in the same box critically with Ryan Coogler and Ava DuVernay and Lena Waithe and Nia DaCosta, all Jordan Peele, all of them, putting you in the same box creatively. So now I'm looking at you and I want to see how you're going to go about this. Do you care anything about the source that's already there, the concept of what you want to do, and how available that story already is? How are we going to do that? I want to see it. Ta-Nehisi Coates and J.J. Abrams, I don't know. I don't know. But I don't see James Gunn letting them do a movie that is so far off the reservation that it interferes with the greater realm of what they have. So if it is something that's totally out of the realm of possibility, like our universe Clark Kent being a black man, which is unnecessary.
Well, if
don't think
HBO
that'll
Max
go.
is still going through with their Michael B. Jordan limited series for Black Superman, it's supposedly Val Zod.
Okay. So not Clark Kent.
Correct.
Cool.
But now the Ta-Nehisi Coates
Somebody
thing,
better pick up Icon. First of all, Coates, that's well within your alley. An alien that comes to Earth and takes the likeness of a slave because that's where he felt most comfortable. That's where he wanted to blend in. Sees the dominant power structure in that's in place currently and decides to characterize himself as a black man. That's right in your wheelhouse. That gives you all the areas you want to talk about and all the subject matter I know you want to write about. It's right there, fam. Just write it. It's right there. There is no reason to make Kal-El, son of Jor-El, a black man. You don't have to do it. You don't have to. Please do not give these ultra toxic nerd boys, the ones that wanted James Gunn fired the minute that he said their daddy Henry Cavill was not going to be Superman anymore. Please do not give them the ammunition they will need to fail your movie. Don't do it. Please. Don't feed into it. It's not even what we want. I'm not saying don't do it for them. Don't do it for us. Give us Icon. It's right there. You could do it, and then you can still have your feminist message in there because look at Icon. You can still do it. You can do everything you want to do. All the tools are there. Just pick up the book. I can't imagine that you don't know Jeffrey Thorne. Jeffrey Thorne is currently writing Blood Syndicate. Call Jeffrey Thorne and ask him about the direction of this film that you're making. Guarantee you he gonna give you Icon. He gonna tell you, bro, you're writing Icon. You're basically writing Icon, and it's not gonna come with all the controversy that you don't want around this film. Just write Icon, not Black Kal-El. What else is going on?
that all the characters won't be in the Flashpoint movie.
Oh yeah. They cut Wonder Woman and Superman's appearances in Flashpoint, which is now
Obviously, at this
lowering
point.
my expectations for the movie now that I know they're chopping everybody out of it.
Yeah,
There's not going to be any Michael Keaton Batman in it anymore. There's not going to be any Wonder Woman. There's not going to be any Superman. This is going to be the worst Flashpoint movie ever. It's just going to be a bunch of different iterations of Ezra Miller, and it's going to sicken my stomach.
Yikes.
So I am no longer even remotely intrigued in that movie because it, first of all, it doesn't have any lasting implications other than creating the new landscape of the DCEU going forward. So I guess that's something. But I think I can wait to see that. I don't think I need to rush to the theater to see that.
With all the controversy of both the Flash movie and Aquaman because of the Amber Heard situation, and then we're going into a new iteration of DC, it almost doesn't make sense to even...
Feels like the last two Fox X-Men movies. It feels like Dark Phoenix and New Mutants. Two projects that had all the promise and the potential in the world, but then ultimately became theatrical disasters because, one, everybody was hip to what was happening way early on because of what was happening with the company.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Everybody knew that these movies, these characters, this story was going absolutely nowhere because of what was happening with the studio. That is the exact same situation that WB's in right now. Everybody knows these characters, these storylines, they're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
It's going to end here.
Yeah.
Right? So the intrigue has dropped off a cliff.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention, one of your co-stars in Aquaman is one of the most hated women in America. Right or wrong or indifferent, she absolutely is.
Yeah. And then the Flash with Ezra Miller and all the shit he's got going on.
Yeah, just same. So I think they've just kind of chalked up those last two films. First of all, I think those are the only two films that are finished.
Mm-hmm.
That they can't actually release. And then everything else is either getting reevaluated, pushed, or canceled. An interesting thing, I kind of want to segue into the MCU stuff. You see the headlines that are popping up about about DC's shakeups and everything that's going on. But DC is admittedly changing, right? They're admittedly chopping stuff, canceling things, and starting over. They're telling you it. James Gunn is getting on Twitter every day, walking us through it step by step. Marvel, on the other hand, I think Bob Chapek was about to be similarly honest about what he was getting ready to do to Disney. And when Iger came back, I think everybody assumed, oh, woo, never mind about those cuts. Yeah, I'm back, but that didn't mean shit's not going to change.
Yeah.
You know, there was a reason why he was, trying to cover up some of those financial misgivings in other ways, because there's a bubble here. There's a bubble coming.
Mm-hmm.
So what's coming out now is that most of the Disney Plus series and shows and movies, or I guess they call them events, that were slated to come out over the next year or so have been pushed. If it hadn't already started filming or was in production already, it's been delayed. So Agatha. Armor Wars, Echo. I think the Charlie Cox Daredevil is safe. They need that.
Blade?
They need that bad. Blade was already in production. I don't know if they had started shooting yet.
Got you.
I don't know if they started filming.
Got you.
But I think they're done with casting, and they have a director. They have a screenwriter. So they're already in it. But then again, right? Agatha was supposed to start filming next month.
Mm-hmm.
Agatha was supposed to start filming next month. They are going through the same type of reevaluation, pushing or canceling that DC is going through. You know what it gets framed as? I hear trades talking about Marvel fatigue and superhero fatigue and fatigue. Why wasn't there any superhero fatigue around Spider-Man No Way Home? Hell, why was there no superhero fatigue when Multiverse of Madness made it within a sneeze of $1 billion? We can't keep giving them this automatic out of saying, well, I mean, they sure have made a lot of content, so I'm sure people are tired of seeing it. People will eat this stuff until their stomachs explode if they like it. And it's never been a problem before. We've watched this steady increase of Marvel content over the last 2 or 3 years, and it has never been a problem until we were able to quantify it wholly. Until we were able to look at the entire picture and say, that's a miss, that's a miss, that's a miss. That didn't make as much money as I thought, and neither did that one. That one came close, but just didn't clear the bar. This one was an abject failure. This one is doing even worse at the box office. Y'all know what I'm talking about. So, while Disney is able to have these great, glowing relationships with the Hollywood Reporter and Deadline and the Direct and all that other stuff, it doesn't seem like WB is in the in crowd right now. And so you can look at competing studios doing the exact same things, and on one side it's Bubbles and Roses, and they're going to get it right. They're the machine. They're the true good guys. They're the ones that get it right. Even though they're doing the same shit and they're going through the same problems. And then on the other side, oh, it's a failure. They look like fools. Why did they ever hire James Gunn? Crazy.
Well, at least one of them has had some sort of consistent success at some point.
Sure. But if we're judging it for what it is, if we make the cutoff 2020, and bring it all the way to what we're about to be at in 2023, there is one, maybe two movies. Well, no, hold on now. Because you gotta put Batman in that. You gotta put Batman in that.
Yeah. Joker
in that. Yeah. There's nothing really the MCU can say that they've done that the WB hasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And conversely, there's nothing that WB can say that they failed at that the MCU didn't also fail at. Now, they didn't have a Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
I was going to ask you about that too.
They did not have a Dwayne The Rock Johnson, but
The Rock is going through his situation with DC as well.
It's hard to watch, man. You know how you used to watch those prank shows and you just kind of cringe at people doing cringy shit?
Yes.
That's kind of where I'm at with Dwayne. It's like, okay, so Black Adam's going to lose $100 million. And then he comes out and tweets, it's actually going to make 52 to $100 million. And we're like, oh, okay. I mean, cool. I mean, I have no reason to doubt The Rock. Plus, why would they let him say this shit if it wasn't true? I mean, that's he's talking about financial gains. He can't just do that, can he? And then it comes out a couple of days later that he probably shouldn't have, and it was misleading. But why is it misleading? And I'm about to get back to some of this difference in how we're reporting this. I actually had a conversation with Chillmonger about this, and I'm not going to say that Hollywood Reporter got it wrong. I'm just going to say the way that they presented it is not fair because I know that they wouldn't present it the same way for Marvel, even though they're doing the same thing. So when Dwayne The Rock Johnson came out and said that the movie was going to make 52 to 100 million, what he was saying is that when we redistribute this movie on our linear networks and on video on demand, right, we're going to recoup another $100 million. And so they're saying that that's preposterous to expect a movie like that to do that much money.
Mm-hmm.
Preposterous. Okay. If you look at the budget breakdown on any site, Box Office Mojo, numbers.com, wherever you want to look at, right? And the expected box office haul for this movie, $80 million of it is coming from redistribution through linear properties and video on demand. Now ask yourself, WB's got to go back to affiliates. Right, they've got to go back to TNT, TBS. They got to go holla at Viacom and get their movies back on there. Maybe they'll end up in a Disney network with like they did with Harry Potter and ABC or something like that. Right, they got USA, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But they mostly have to go to external outlets for that linear money, which means there's cost going out. Disney has ABC, they have Freeform, they have regular Disney Channel, they have ESPN, they've got a million linear channels, not to mention a streaming platform.
Yeah.
Guess who Disney is sending their linear content to? Themselves. But wait, you still have to charge licensing fees for that. So guess who's paying the licensing fees?
Themselves.
So they're paying themselves $80 million and counting it into the box office gross. So we're going to make fun of Dwayne The Rock Johnson in DC for over anticipating linear sales. Okay, that's a little embarrassing, I guess. Whatever. Nothing to cry about, I guess. But then you're going to completely ignore the fact that Disney is doing the same thing in a much more brazen way. Now, I'm assuming it's legal since they're getting away with it, but it's nonetheless like
it's still overinflating numbers.
I feel like it's a lot. It's very convoluted. We're talking about a lot. It's like it's very hard for people to kind of see the hypocrisy because there's so many layers to it.
Yeah.
But if you just boil it down, they're both redistributing a struggling movie on television networks and video on demand to try to recoup some of the money. Only Disney's cheating to get their money back. They're just giving themselves $80 million and counting it as the box office gross.
Yeah.
So if it's embarrassing for Dwayne The Rock Johnson to overinflate the numbers and say, we're going to get $100 million when they're probably going to get about 65, how embarrassing is it to just cut yourself a check because you don't have any confidence that this movie is going to recoup enough money in the actual box office? Right now, that's the majority of the profit.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that stuff comes out at some point on their expense report or on their balance sheet as like a liability on one side, and it's like you see it, but they don't list it as what it actually is on the other side.
What they did, and I believe they did this with the marketing budget as well, they took some of the marketing budget. That's why no one knew what the hell Strange World was. So no one knew what the hell Strange World was. Mm-hmm. They took the marketing budget from that movie and probably some of the linear licensing money and moved it to Black Panther Wakanda Forever.
Yikes.
Shout out to Adam Post. He had a great video where he was breaking all this down. He went through the Hollywood Reporter write up and then just kind of took it line by line and is reaming out all of this.
So they put out a movie just to falsify information?
They knew, I think they honestly thought in their heart of hearts that Wakanda Forever would perform in the $1 billion range.
Oh, sure.
Because it's not only... Okay. I feel like I'm falling down the rabbit hole.
We kind of are.
But anyways, come with me. So they honestly believed in their heart of hearts that Wakanda Forever was going to be a $1 billion movie. There was a Disney insider who leaked a little bit of information about the marketing for this film. So we always anticipated that it was going to be higher or, higher than usual because of the situation and because of the kind of redirecting they were doing with the franchise. Mm-hmm. So we assumed 150 million to be about the number. They're saying that because of the rising, well, not because of the rising marketing costs, that led to some of the higher spending. But they also went to a 1-to-1 spending structure for marketing on movies like Wakanda Forever. And so if that's the case, 1-to-1, they spent $250 million to make Wakanda Forever, just to shoot it. Mm-hmm. $250 million. 1-to-1 spending means they spent $250 million marketing this movie. Mm-hmm. Uh-oh. Because before, where we were talking about 800 million being the break-even point, and at which point, I believe, last I looked, they're about $20 million off of that right now.
Yeah, that sounds about right. 780.
Now you're looking at $1 billion being your break-even point. Maybe a little bit over $1 billion. Because again, you guys see, it made $770 million. That's great. They did not take home $770 million.
Yeah.
Some of you aren't even taking into account the money that they spent to make the movie, not to mention what they split with the studios and anybody else that had a hand in making this movie before they get to count the money that they bring home.
And the theaters.
It was weird. I had a conversation with somebody in the comments last week, and they're like, "Oh, well, if they only spent 250 and it makes 800 million, they'll make 600 something." I'm like, like, are you under the impression that they just go in like gang robbers and take all this money out of the theaters? Well, how the fuck are the theaters open, people? How do they stay open? Anyways, now we can't corroborate any of that. That's the official number has been 250, and the approximate number for the marketing has been about 150. Mm-hmm. If they spent, what we do know is that marketing has become more expensive. They've told us that. You can hear that in earnings calls all over America. Mm-hmm. Marketing costs has gone up for everybody. Yeah. So it's not out of the realm of possibility to say, okay, well, we anticipated a higher budget, but we're thinking higher in terms of what we've already seen in the past. We're not thinking higher in terms of this current marketing market. In this current market for marketing, if that sounds better.
No.
So if it is $250 million, and they already spent $250 million, they'd have to hit at least $1 billion before they can start talking anything about profit. There's more to this stuff, man. When you start talking about, we're not talking about characters or writing or scripts right now. Right now, we're talking dollars and cents. That's just math. Mm-hmm. That's math. You can't hide that from people. That doesn't hide behind your reputation. That doesn't hide behind, your slew of undying fans that will support anything that you shit. Numbers are numbers. We can see it. And so it's a little embarrassing for people who can read the numbers to look at that and look at how some of the trades are covering the news. Because right now, if you just read the Hollywood Reporter, if you read Deadline, if you read the Direct, you would think that Disney's in great shape. They're just tweaking some things, and DC is struggling to get off the ground, is what you would think.
Oh, yeah.
When both of these studios are doing similar things, they're having the same amount of turmoil in terms of getting projects out, quality projects out.
Mm-hmm.
But you never know if you listen to the magazines. So
For sure.
give us your thoughts on all the shakeups coming from both studios, both DC and MCU wise. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Come back next week for more MCU content and DC content.
Absolutely. And make sure you check out our most recent DC and MCU content featured here. And make sure you subscribe. Anytime we get any news about both cinematic universes, we'll be sure to fill you in.